Hello and welcome to the Fight Sites Combat Sports News Recap. I'm Iggy. Quite the week, huh? Lots and lots of stuff to talk about today, such as Ben Askren versus Jake Paul. Ben Askren fucking sucks. Moving on. Bellator happened. Matt Burnell was there, looked great, boxed his man up, then choked him out in the second. Watch this fight and literally nothing else on the card. Hashtag Mads lads. UFC on ESPN, Whitaker vs Gastelum took place last weekend. Dire fucking card. Meerschaert guillotined Bartosz Fabinski in the first, which was pretty cool. Romanov vs Espino was bizarre. Romanov got the technical decision because Espino couldn't continue the fight because of a nut shot, which was very unfortunate because Espino was starting to win. Hit an outside reap on Romanov, a fucking 500-pound man. That was pretty cool. And that's it for the card. There was nothing else, just a flat line up until the main event. Speaking of which, Bobby Knuckles looked fantastic. Tore Gastelum to shreds on the back foot. Used intercepting jabs and 1-2s, as well as his patented Whitaker special, the 1-2 into a rear head kick to great effect, pinning Gastelum's left hand to his chin, which no doubt played a big role in slowing Gastelum's hand speed and limiting his output to spazzy swings because his arms were dead. It was essentially a case study in how superior ringcraft wins fights. Whitaker really didn't do anything special with regards to his footwork, just a whole bunch of lateral movement interspersed with L steps, which meant that by constantly moving forward on straight lines, the only thing Gastelum was dictating was the pace at which he was getting his ass kicked. Roberts' preemptive defense was on point, hands low on the outside, Philly shell once in the punching range. Everything we talked about with Threum on the MMA podcast worked out exactly as we predicted it. So if you wanna compare the results with our predictions, just go back and listen to that. Even the bit where I said that the two are bound to crash into the clinch worked out because of Rob's bursting footwork and Gastelum squares up massively in the pocket. Once there, Whitaker grabbed underhooks and utilized his offensive wrestling to take Gastelum down a bunch, and on the ground Gastelum really did nothing but wait for opportunities to scramble his way up, not really looking to use any positional grappling to get out of half guard, holding on to dear life. So Rob really couldn't ground and pound him to shreds, no doubt Bobby Knuckles fans across the world would have liked him to, but I mean, in the fifth, Rob mostly just rolled around with Gastelum to a decision victory, having already won the first 4 rounds, so I mean, why not? Basically a showcase performance for Whitaker, a lovely fight from him all round, a gift to all Bobby Knuckles fans across the world, like eating a minty ice cream on a hot summer day. Stay tuned for our alternate commentary for the fight, by the way. Alright, on to the news. News of the week. Zhang Weili's team responds to Rose Namajunas' statements. In response to Namajunas' bizarre politically charged outburst, where she accused Zhang of basically being an NKVD commissar, Ruben Payan Jr., Weili's strength and conditioning coach, stated the following. To be honest, we haven't been paying attention to all this soap opera. We're not engaging with it because we're so focused on the fight. I mean, I think you should maybe humble yourself and not jump to conclusions. And basically he outlined that the government has nothing to do with how Weili behaves herself, or what their preparation process looks like, or what her personal motivations are, etc, etc, etc. Just a broad, measured response, I suppose. Jeremy Stevens injures Drakkar Klose. Dana White blames Sean Shelby because of course he is. On the face-off for UFC on ESPN, Whitaker vs Gastelum, Stevens shoved Drakkar Klose, whose hands were behind his back at the time, and according to Klose, he instantly felt one of his arms go numb, and after a while he started vomiting. Official medical diagnosis was that the shove resulted in a sprain of cervical neck as well as a brain concussion. And who knows how much time it will take for him to recuperate. Here's how Klose himself described his condition. After I was pushed by Jeremy at the UFC face-offs, I immediately felt my hand go numb, and neck tighten up. Sean Shelby and the UFC officials sent me to the PI to get worked on by the UFC PT staff for 2 hours. I spent the night eating, rehydrating, stretching, and even saw the PT staff later that night. I woke up early this morning with a headache, nausea, and the only thing that made me feel better was laying in the dark. UFC got me medicine and I rested a couple of hours before getting up and vomiting. It was at this point we called the UFC doctor and he made the decision to send me to the hospital. I'm sorry to everyone who was excited for this fight. I tried to do everything I could stay in this fight, but these issues are out of my control. Eric Mangraken, who runs Combat Sports Law website, the Combat Sports Law website outlined the possible routes to pursue legal action for Klose based on assault and battery. According to Mangraken, a lawsuit based on assault/battery is not out of the question, and such an action could lead to fairly steep financial consequences covering things like lost income, medical expenses, non-pecuniary loss and other damages. It is unknown as of this juncture whether Stevens will face any penalties following his violent outburst. Dana White, meanwhile, puts the blame solely on Sean Shelby for not reading the room and intervening before the situation got physical, because of course Dana needs to throw someone under the bus. I mean, it's only natural. Stevens himself, meanwhile, has a history of being a violent hothead. The Des Moines Register reports that in an incident taking place on October 15, 2011, Stevens and his friend assaulted a man who was asked to leave the bar they were in, beating him so severely he stopped breathing twice. According to the Register, the victim had reportedly been asked to leave the bar and was still in the parking lot when Stevens and Buckman emerged soon after. According to the victim's wife, Stevens punched the victim in the left eye, the victim leans against the building, and Buckman, which is, I'm assuming is the friend in question, Buckman punched him in the head and face several times, the police said. The victim's wife helped him get into their car and was trying to lock the doors when Buckman purportedly pulled the victim out of the vehicle by his feet. I mean, quite the character, this Buckman. Stevens and Buckman then allegedly punched and kicked the victim on his head and body for about a minute, authorities said. The suspects fled, the victim was unconscious and stopped breathing twice, police reports show. He was intubated and taken to the hospital in critical condition. I mean, my personal take on this whole thing is that Stevens should just be fucking cut. I mean, the man hasn't got a single win since 2018, and his whole shtick is being a stepping stone for prospects. I mean, where if you aren't a complete no-hoper and understand how to handle linear pressure, you should be able to beat Stevens pretty comfortably, and yet he's still an eyesore at featherweight, where he's ranked number 10 for some bizarre reason. I mean, but then featherweight rankings are just a joke in general. It's basically just Max and Volk and everyone else. Dillon Danis says some really stupid shit in a move so uncharacteristic for the cultured and gracefully self-aware gentleman that he is. He says he'll murder Francis Ngannou in a street fight. To quote the man himself, "I can survive his punch." Should I continue reading this? Do you really want to know what he says? I'm getting so much second-hand embarrassment from this, like reading this. Like it's like watching a man in clown shoes run across a minefield. It's my job, you say? Alright. Don't blame me if someone's bladder explodes from laughing too much. I'm just following orders. I can survive his punch because I'm very good at weathering the storm. He's the kind of guy, he's like a one-pump chump. In a street fight to the death, where someone's gonna die, I'll beat him. Jiu-jitsu? Come on, that's like a joke. In a jiu-jitsu matchup right now, even drunk I'll fuck him up. Come on, he's terrible on the ground. Dana White speaks out against masks again, blames media again, engages in his usual COVID denialism, says masks won't be needed at UFC 261 and UFC 262. I quote, "The reality is we had to create a bubble that would be safe, so first of all the athletes wouldn't end up with COVID and have all these fights falling out. But the media was being so crazy about this whole COVID thing, you know, you had to make the media feel safe." The media was going crazy. The media was going crazy. The media was going crazy. You had to make the media feel safe. I mean, Volkanovski, Chimaev, Costa, Jacare, Hamush. I can continue on with this list for a while, you know. In Jacksonville, everything is opening up again. Even in Vegas, it's going to be open June 1st, but 100% open in July. There's still going to be some things that are set in place. We're still going to have a bubble for the athletes, things like that. But as far as the fans, you can wear a mask, or you cannot wear a mask. It's up to you. It's your decision. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dana. You're so gracious. You're such a good guy. You're such a good leader. Thank you for your service. You're the one who brought sports back. Oh yes, Dana, when everyone was shitting their pants, like running around like headless chickens and putting protocols in place like pussies, we needed a real man to bring it all back on track. I mean, even Steve Bannon was such a smart guy, such a great, awesome guy, said that you're a real patriot, you know. The first to host a full capacity event after the globalists forced everyone inside and muzzled them. Holy fucking shitballs, Dana, you should run for president. Florida still has a whole bunch of cases and deaths from COVID, from a surge in maskless, protocol-free spring break festivities, but who gives a shit? Sports! If you're a pussy, no balls, chicken shit, fucking bitch boy virgin who cares about shit like people's lives, then MMA is not for you, fella. I'm gonna go fucking chug bleach now. In other news, the UFC provides free masks for UFC 261 and UFC 262. The UFC announced that free masks will be distributed to everyone who wants them at UFC 261 and UFC 262 for pussy holes only. If you care about your health and the health of others, like some kind of loser, you can wear one. Dana said okay. Just make sure your tampon doesn't fall out. Fight announcement so far. Jairzinho Rozenstruik vs Augusto Sakai to headline an event on June 5th. Oh fuck this, I'm out. Fuck this. This is bullshit. Ah! The fuck is this? I mean, is this for real? Are you shitting me right now? This is some kind of miserable nightmare, this existence I live. Jairzinho Rozenstruik vs Augusto Sakai is to headline an event at June 5th. And Chito Vera is gonna fight Davy Grant for some reason. One on TNT4 is revealed, if you care about it. Headlined by Aung Lang Sang vs Vitaly Bigdash. Vitaly Bigdash. Bigdash. Eddie Alvarez versus whoever the fuck as a co-main. I mean, it's also, I'm not joking that their announcement was that, oh, the legend Eddie Alvarez is coming back and he's gonna fight some guy and some other guy if he doesn't get that other guy. You can go on their website. That's their official announcement. His fighting was like, honestly, he's fighting. He's gonna fight totally. Yeah. Rugruk versus Kirill Grishenko. Edward Foliang versus Shinya Aoki. I guess they're still alive. Jackie Bunton versus Ekaterina Vanderyeva. Colby Northcutt versus Courtney Martin. And this weekend is gonna be, well, UFC 261. The one where Dana brings the crowd back. The event was to initially take place in Singapore, but Singapore told the UFC to shove it up their ass because of COVID protocols, and then Dana had the bright idea of holding it in Jacksonville with 15,000 fans in attendance because Florida. Headlined by the rematch between Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal, journeyman fighter turned street Jesus turned MAGA Chad launched into stardom by his knockout win over Ben Askren. I don't fucking know. Maybe I should knock Askren out. Will that make me a star? Question for the viewers. Do you or your friends or relatives know someone who they are reasonably sure they can knock Ben Askren out? Like, the shittier the better. I don't care if it's your stepsister or your bin man, leave your answer in the comments. Co-main is Weili versus Namajunas, also known as the Red Menace versus the Soaring Eagle. Followed by Shevchenko versus Andrade versus Andrade, also known as It's as if a million Sims across the world cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I don't know, Shevchenko probably drops Andrade, but who knows? No one cares for that matter. Uriah Hall versus Weidman is also on the main card. I mean, I guess we'll find out if Weidman still has any functioning joints left. While Uriah may follow up his old Yella-style execution of Anderson Silva with another one. That is, if he doesn't start pondering the nature of existence in the middle of the fight. Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute, Ryan Wagner's favorite fighter, who loves Crute's educated lead-handed combination boxing, as well as his impenetrable takedown defense and defense in the pocket. The card also has prelims and early prelims like any other card. That's it for today. Check out the fight site for analytical content on our written works. Check out our Patreon for exclusive custom content like resume evaluations, more fight breakdowns, alternate commentary tracks and more. Almost all of our existing work becomes available at the $3 tier, while $5 give you access to our Discord server, where you can hang out and converse with our staff and other like-minded fight fans who appreciate the technical side of the sport and all its intricacies. We've hit our stretch goal of 200 patrons the other day, and we've released our first article from our series on top 5 greatest MMA fights. And the commentary for the fight in question that is being broken down in the article is on the way, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to check out our main channel for technical breakdowns and shorts. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more content such as this show, or our discussion panels, such as the latest 2-hour podcast with Zach Makovsky, the UFC veteran, Bellator champion, and actual active professional fighter Zach Makovsky, and a real stud. Ed Gallo is also there, our glorious, fearless leader, Ed Gallo, Exorized, and yours truly. This has been the Fight Sites Combat Sports News Recap, and I'll see you next week. Peace. Do you think Ben Askren is good at video games?